First topic is managers versus entrepreneurs. Again, like it's an oxymoron. The spoiler alert from this section is I want you to realize you can be effective by being an entrepreneurial manager. If you consider entrepreneurship or acting entrepreneurially as just a behavior, as a way of doing things, as a mindset, you can act as a corporation or as a manager or any setting you're in, you can act entrepreneurial. But generally, like corporate and entrepreneurship, these two things are seen as very different. Let's look at why. Everyone knows managers, most of you are managers. You have a focus on getting things done for other people. You have metrics, so you got to hit them. Do things for other people. For your facilitator of information, resources, and outputs, efficient and effective utilization, and you're controlling resources. That's the big thing. I always the biggest thing about managers was trying to control resources, right? The more resources you had at your disposal, the more you could pick up, kind of the higher you would rise in the organization. And there's kind of an equation here, right? So for managers, your efficiency is realized when your outputs remain the same while your costs go down. Make sense? It's not a growth mindset with managers. It's about managing, keep things the way they are. It's a focus on what is. Entrepreneurs, it's a focus on what can be as opposed to what is. That make sense? You get some nods? All right. So entrepreneurs want to envision the future. They're recognizing the emerging patterns and trends with a willingness to take risks, to pursue opportunity. And one of the big differences is that an entrepreneur wants access to resources. They don't need to control them. They just want them when they need them. They don't rise in an organization by having more resources and people under them. They rise in an organization by coming up with innovations to exploit opportunities. That's a growth mindset. It's not the manager keeping things the way they are. It's not about keeping your outputs the same while reducing costs. They want to win big, not just control losses. They want to grow. Now the trick here is to be really effective, you got to do both. If you're just being an entrepreneur for growth's sake, without watching your bottom line, it's a disastrous recipe, right? There's a lot of good things managers do that an entrepreneur in a large organization can learn from, and vice versa, right? So again, typically these are diametrically opposed, but here are the skills you can use of both to be really successful. You can be a planner and be visionary. You can be an organizer and be creative. You can be a motivator and an innovator, a budgeter and a risk taker if you're calculated. You can be a supervisor and opportunity seeker, a coordinator, and an active implementer. There's 3 rules from GTE I want to share. GTE was a predecessor to Verizon through mergers and acquisitions that became Verizon. The first one is that corporate goals related to new ventures should be identified and disseminated. And the managers should support those spin-outs that advance these goals. 2, employees who identify new business ideas should be protected, retained, and rewarded. And 3, proposals need to move quickly through the approval process. Now I know that's counterintuitive, right? But when it's done right, it makes for a very powerful combination. If you're in this course, you're probably already a very adequate manager. So we're going to start by focusing on some important entrepreneurial skills you're going to need. The first one being opportunity recognition.